Beautiful. So a couple of really beautiful breaths here. Body's calm. We're very present. I always like to start off with a little intention for each of my classes. And so this week I've been working with the intention of perspective, especially as we're getting closer to election time. It tends to be that people's perspectives are so divided, where I'm 100% right, you're 100% wrong, there's no middle ground. But the thing is, if you look at our senses, we've been given two eyes so that we can have depth perception. If one eye goes out, you'll be reaching for your cup, just more feeling around than anything else because your hand's not able to go immediately to the right spot. So having that second perspective working with you, so beneficial to have a more precise knowledge of exactly where to go in life. And so think of that, that second perspective as if we're letting ourselves kind of take on other people's perspectives for a day, try them on, see how they feel, and really letting ourselves view the world in all sorts of different ways. Because I really think if we were to fully understand somebody's life, everything about them, we couldn't help but love them and understand why they're making the choices that they are. And so opening up our perspective today, opening up our eyes. One of the big ways that I'm going to have us practice perspective is that anytime we're upside down in our hammocks today, we're in an inversion, I want you to really open the eyes, at least for a moment, so you can see the world and imagine, what if that was how the world actually was? What if my head was close to the ground and my feet were upward? Like, how funny would that be? And just literally try to take on a whole new perspective, not trying to get your brain to automatically flip it. Instead, try to be with it the very best that you can, keeping our eyes wide open. And so with that idea to help lead us onward, let us begin with some nice initial movements for the body. Start off by stretching your arms all the way to the space right behind you. And then begin to wiggle the shoulders to the right and to the left. No need to rush this. And keeping your eyes really open right now, imagine that this was the world. This was the vision you got of the world. Perhaps this is the vision a little baby has when they're all swaddled up and they look around out of their crib, and this is kind of how they see the world. They can kind of see the ceiling. Maybe they can play with their feet above them like a happy baby. But this is just about it. That's what you've got. So imagine you're taking on this fresh new perspective like a baby. And from here, let's work on our legs a little bit. So take your right knee into the chest. And start to roll that right ankle out or hug the right knee in super tightly, whatever feels best to start opening things up. And let's begin to stretch the right leg clear to the sky. The hands are just finding the way that can be helpful for this hamstring stretch. So maybe they're behind the thigh, maybe they're behind the calf, ankle, or foot. Whatever helps this hamstring out. And be with this hamstring. In what ways can we make the stretch deeper just by being present? Look at how funny it looks to have a foot in front of our face or in front of our chest. What if that's how life was? Our foot was right there instead. We're going to head to a hip opener from here. So this right ankle, we're going to keep it being pulled back just like it is. And the end of the fabric is by the ears. You're going to hook this right ankle onto the back left in. Once you've hooked the whole heel, the whole ankle, then you can slide the shin in. This helps that right hip to get a good opener. So be present with the hip. In what way can I help to open this hip? And notice as you've hooked the ankle, You've got a whole half of the room that's now much more visible. That field of vision has opened up a little bit. So maybe just take a moment to see what you can see. Eyes are very open. What sorts of colors are present? What sorts of objects? There's no judgment. Imagine you're like a puppy that doesn't know what anything is for. Maybe there's different textures. Really noticing with fresh eyes. Take another really good breath in. And with our exhale, free out this leg. Sometimes I'll give it one more little tug before I drop it all the way down. Once it's down, left knee comes into the chest. Nice hug, maybe some ankle rolls. When you're ready to start working on the hamstring, let that left leg go clear to the sky, grab on wherever it feels natural. Just play with this here, being with the body, that curious state like a little kid. If I move my leg this way, how does it help it or take it out of the stretch? What about this way? Just being playful with the body for a moment. We've got a few more breaths here. Here, when we hook the heel, it's going to be the left ankle going to the back right part. We swivel out to the side, we slide the shin in. And keeping our eyes open, see this half of the room suddenly exposed. What new colors, textures, objects, sizes, what is suddenly now apparent for us? Okay, let's take one more good breath for this hip. Beautiful inhale. And exhale, start to free out the leg. Maybe give it a huge stretch up to the sky. Good. When we drop this foot down, leave the head and the arms inside the fabric, but start to kick the feet off so that we're dangling at the knees. I like to take just a comfortable grip with straight arms on this back side of the fabric. That'll help me kind of prepare for some of the activity here to come in just a moment. This is going to be a nice core strengthener to get us started. We straighten the legs out. What we're going to do with a nice exhale is float both straight legs up to the sky, lift it as high as you possibly can, and then lower them back down to that spot right before the hammock takes over. Exhale to lift all the way up, and then inhale, rolling down. Maybe you can get past 90 degrees. Maybe the thighs come pretty close to the chest even. So just play with your range of motion, as well as your strength, strength's ability to lift these legs up. Let's try to go for 5 more slow breaths. Exhale, and inhale. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Good. This time when we set the thighs down, let the knees bend so the feet can dangle again. Use that grip high up on the fabric to help you come to sit upright. Once we're sitting, keep the hands and the thumbs hooked on this back edge. Bring the fabric to about the back side of the pant line. So it's not far enough to sit on it, but it's the back side of the hips. From there, lean halfway back, feel the core engaged as you grip back on. It's like a tabletop. Good. And then we're going to take a little back bend from here. So continue to slide the fabric through the hands as that head comes backwards. Get to view the world upside down for a moment. You absolutely can keep the hands on the whole time. If your back is flexible enough to be happy with letting go, that's okay. If you're letting go, sometimes I'll even grab for each of my feet. That's kind of a fun thing to play with if you want to, no pressure. And this is our first inversion. So my rule with inversions is you only stay as long as it's still feeling good for your body. Don't feel like it's a competition that you have to stay as long as anybody else. Just enjoy it while it lasts. Then just at your own pace, you reverse every step to gently back out. Nice and wide open. Really keep the vision aspect of it open today. Oftentimes I'll kind of get into my body and I'm not really looking around. So try to not do that today. As long as you're here, we're so present with anything that we're seeing. Feel how funny it would be if the world looked like this, if our head was this high, just kind of hovering above the ground. You're welcome to stay a few more breaths if this is feeling good. When you're ready to come up, just grip back on, hook the elbows, and send the shoulders forward like a little floating child's pose. And notice, with your eyes open in child's pose, notice our vision is really constricted. It's more like tunnel vision, where almost everything is blocked out, especially if I'm like dropping my forehead close to my thighs. I can really only see with my peripheral vision. So notice what it is when you're seeing with your peripheral vision. Try to pick out details with your vision. Really, I can see colors and changes from one color to the next. But if I then look around at what was in my peripheral, I notice there's so many more details that my peripheral vision did not include at all. So just notice how curious that is. Getting your eyes to open up in ways that we haven't really used much, perhaps lately. Good. So then sitting up tall, let's grab our hands onto this back edge of the fabric and lock the elbows straight. They're a little bit wider than shoulders. The posture sitting up tall rather than having any sort of curls to the spine. And then we just start to lean backwards until our shoulders are opened up in a good way. Maybe even filling your pecs, filling your shoulders. And notice how nice it is to kind of have this tunnel vision. It's almost comforting for our senses to have so much of the world blocked off so that we can just focus on what's in front of us. It's like taking away all those distractions, all those app notifications, making it so it's just what we need to focus on that's right in front of us. Take one more beautiful breath in. With a nice exhale, bring your arms back in. Let's take a little twist. Choose one side of the fabric to bunch up with your hands. Whichever shoulder is going to the back wall, that arm opens up to the back wall, stretching to that space behind you, or you can even circle it all the way around the fabric behind your head. Whatever allows the twist and the shoulder opener to feel good. And notice how much of our visual field opened up from when we were in the tunnel vision just a moment ago. Notice the shoulders opening in a new way. Head's relaxed. But even trying to view as far as the head is capable of viewing in this twist. Good. Gently release. Let's take a twist to your second side, whichever side that is. Whichever shoulder is going to the back wall, that arm opens, or maybe continues to circle around the back side of the head. Again, eyes open. It's almost like we're a curious scientist. In any pose, what is my range of visual field? Almost like how scientists measure different animals and what their range is. Like an owl, they'll measure to see, oh, can they actually see all the way behind their head? Kind of like that. We're trying to see, ooh, how far can. Let's just enjoy another beautiful inhale. With this awesome exhale, we can return forward. Let's take our second inversion. The thumbs hook, the feather goes back to back side of the count line, just like before. Once we've got that definitely placed on our hips, we lean halfway back, grip back on, just like before. This time though, the legs go wide as we continue to tilt back and then wrap the ankles around the fabric. As soon as you've got the ankles wrapped, you're safe to let the hands go. Good. Maybe be curious about your visual perspective here. You can have hands on the whole time. That's beautiful. That'll kind of keep your head forward. You can have the whole spine just kind of dropping, releasing. You could have hands on the ground and walk the hands around a little bit so that you can play with your field of vision. If I walk my hands this way, can I see new things? If I walk this way, how are my shoulders opening, or my spine, or anything else that you're capable of viewing? So be playful. Again, this is another moment where it's however long it feels good for you. No competition. It's just me and my eyes. My body relax. Finding this new type of presence, this new type of way of being with my body. Obviously, there's no pressure. You guys are doing awesome. If you do come up before others, feel free to take little freeform neck stretches. That way you're continuing to release any techniques that might be in your body. If you're upside down, you're no rush. We've still got time. Just keep on enjoying it for a little while. Got the grips on the feet. Oh, it's popping right back up. Good. Coming up, let's feel this nice rest of our spine. Again in child's pose. Notice how this child's pose is almost like this chance to get to cut off a lot of our vision. It's almost really peaceful, really restful. It's almost like how we have to sleep. When we sleep, I almost think about it like maybe our soul is so limited by our reality and it wants to be free, where there's no constriction, there's no rules. And that's why maybe when we take some of our dreams with us, like flying and stuff like that, maybe that was our soul being completely free during the nighttime, and that it's like, yes. So maybe that's kind of what this visual thing is right here, where it's so cut off from our vision, so much of the space. It's almost like we just need a little break from reality for a moment. Take 2 or 3 more breaths. And let's start to sit up. We're going to come a little bit deeper inside the fabric. I want you to bunch up the fabric to the side that points you closer to me. So you guys will have, yep, on that side, you guys on this side. Once you've got that side bunched up, lock your arms straight. This will start to lift one of your hips up. So that leg of the hip that's lifting, get that leg to swing all the way up and over. Sometimes it takes a try or two, so yeah, just keep on going, you got it. Yeah, it's rare for it to be smooth at the beginning, so just take your time. Okay, already we're gonna go into some nice leg stretches. So keep the fabric bunched up that's in front of you, and we're gonna take our right ankle or shin up onto the fabric that's immediately in front of us. This is another place where the hips out to the side, and so you've got a couple of options depending on how intense this is. If you, from here, lock your arms straight, it takes some of the intensity away. That sometimes is what you need to feel good. If you start backing your arms off, that makes it a little bit deeper. If you want even more, you can hug around the shin and kind of lean your heart closer. So you choose your depth, you choose how intense it is for you. Just relaxing a few more breaths. We're gonna shift from hip stretch to hamstring stretch. We take this right foot, I like to make it the arch of the foot, onto the fabric. The toes are out, the heel is in, and then start to slide the arch of the foot up. Good. So again, if you keep your hands on and push away, it'll make it slightly easier. If you start backing your hands off of it, it'll make it deeper and deeper. If you do want more after that point, continue to lean your torso in. So it's your ability to control how intense this is for your body. Another good breath in. Good exhale. Let's free this right foot all the way out. We'll do the same thing left side. Take the ankle or the shin up. You can lock the arm straight. You can start to bend it in, maybe even hugging around to go deeper, your preference. And hamstring, take the arch of this left foot onto it. Once you've got it hooked, you can start to slide that foot upward. Choose your intensity. And see how different the visual field is on the left and the right sides. It's almost like this is how people are politically right now. They're like super open to one side and they're super, super narrow-minded to the other side. So it's that question, how can I be inclusive and kind and loving and have civil conversations with people that don't see things exactly in the proportion that I see? Because to me, ultimately, the only true reality is love. And the more we see separation from love, the more duality we throw into the picture, just the harder it is for everybody. That separation takes us away from who we truly are, I think. But yet it's fun to have drama, right? Let's one more good inhale and exhale. And then we'll start to drop this leg down. Once we've got it dropped, we'll take a little bit with both heels in the fabric, both legs stretching out long. Allow yourself to try to get the posture to sit up tall. Sometimes just shifting the hips around can help. Sometimes I need to pick my hips up, like pick my hips up for a moment, and then when I reset down, my posture is taller. Whenever you do get there, the hands press outward. This helps to stretch the inner thighs. Couple of breaths here. Dropping the right hand to the right shin, slide that hand all the way down as close as you can get to the foot. Left hand reaches up and over. It's almost like we're trying on a visual field, we're trying on a belief, trying on a side, just to see how it fits, see how we feel from the inside out. Rising up. Let's try out the second side, sliding down, right hand up and over. When we come up, let's touch bottoms of both feet together. Notice all of your visionary field, pretty much for the room, very, very closed off. This is almost like going on a little retreat. Sometimes we have to retreat from the world to see ourselves more clearly. So just enjoy a few beautiful breaths being with your body. And then reaching around, let's help both feet come back out. We're dangling out each end. We're gonna try out the center plane once we get both feet settled here. So essentially we're getting both feet under the space that's in front of our face. I like to start off with one hand making a stop sign and just pushing directly into the fabric that's in front of my face. Once I've got that hand there, my other hand helps that heel come up exactly where the first hand is. And then the second heel comes up next to the first foot. Once you've got that, you can try to see how straight both legs can come up together, right there in the middle. You can have bent knees, you can have straight legs. You can push with your feet into the fabric, that'll make it a little easier. Or you can try to release into it. Trying to continuously scan through your body. What muscle groups can I relax even deeper? Just be in this peaceful, calm place for 3 more beautiful breaths. After all 3, we're going to let both feet breathe their way off to the front end. Your hips will be off center, so just shift left, right, left, right, left, right until you can easily face all the way forward. Good, and here we're going to take vampire pose. So find this fabric that's behind you. You want to open it up so it's not rolled at all. And then from the free unrolled fabric, you're going to take one thin layer to cover the entire shoulder like a nice cap sleeve. You want to completely cover it, but it's also not super bunched up at the neck. So once you got that, you notice how your elbows help to get all the excess fabric away. So use that, push all the excess down to your waist as you start to sit, lay all the way halfway back. So once you're laying down, you're going to step your feet into the other end, but before you straighten the legs out, lift the hips up, and that'll take all the excess fabric away from your waist that you just gathered up. So you should still have a complete covering over your shoulder. That's where our safety is. That's where our whole body weight's going to be. And so then your hands reach up to the sky, grip onto left and right sides of the fabric. Feet come up. They can be inside or outside the fabric, doesn't matter. So they just come up. The outside edges of the feet push into the fabric that's gathered right where our hands are reaching. So it's not heels wrapping, instead it's the feet pushing into the fabric. got it. And from that pressure in the fabric, start to rise all the way upside down using our core. And sometimes it's good core work just to practice going up and down, up and down. That's okay too. At least for a brief moment being upside down, take a moment to see the world. Really taking in that visual field upside down. You're looking so good there. If you come down, you're welcome to bring the head back inside the fabric for a mini Shavasana. If you're upside down, you're welcome to be here a little bit longer. If you're still upside down, take the last 3 or 4 good, slow, relaxing breaths before you head out. You bring your head in. Stay in this laying down position until you feel like, I'm pretty sure it's safe for me to be back up. Like sometimes the body needs to recover for a few moments. So just relax until you feel like, okay, I think I'm good if I were to come sitting up. And then you're welcome to gradually make your way there, no rush. Need to sit a little bit longer, that's okay. If you're feeling like, okay, I'm safe now to stand, you're gonna bunch the fabric all the way up and then just lift the hips up and out. Awesome. Leave the fabric over the shoulders for a moment. We'll do a teeny bit of strengthening. So the hands circle around the fabric above the head, all the way around, and then circle that same direction one more time before we grip on. The second grip is already safely wrapped around your wrists and everything. So we're gonna try to go for 3 pull-ups. So use your breath, take an inhale to prep, exhale to try to come up. Maybe your knees come up. Good, just the best that you can, just accept it. Good, taking number 2. Yes. And number 3. You guys are awesome. Free out the hands, shaking them as you go. They're gonna come all the way behind the fabric. Let's take a light grip, just about as wide as hips. Then start to let the upper body go forward, hips go back. Feel that nice stretch all the way down the legs, up to the low back. We're gonna take a couple of cat-cows and pay attention to your visual field. It's almost like for that scientist trying to scan how far down and how far up can I see. So when we're doing cat, the head goes down. See how much you can see to that direction. And when we do cow, straighten back out, drop belly down, and gaze up. See how high up. And just take another 3 or 4 cycles like that. Exhale, cat. Inhale, cow. Just being curious about this visual field that we have. After the next time we gaze up, let's return the spine back to neutral. Sway all the way over to the right side, bend to the right elbow down. So deep side body stretch. The knees and ankles can do whatever they need to do to be comfortable, but we should be stretching through the waist, the side ribs, and even the shoulder. So the bottom elbow points down, the right elbow points down. I'll go back to start, so your grip stays the same. Good. You sway to the side, right elbow bends down to the ground. Yep, and you're leaning that way. Got it. Good. Sway back forward, and then second side. Side left. Good, returning forward. We're gonna try for half moon pose. So first step on the left foot, right leg kicks up behind us. This is a warrior 3. From here, left hand slides down to the center of the fabric. Right hand slides up higher, and we're in half moon. Beautiful. Now lock the arms where they are at. The arms are straight, fists are gripped. Drop this foot down next to the other and let your shoulder rotate around into a nice little stretch. Good. Unwind the shoulder, send everything back forward. That shoulder distance again, leaning forward. Warrior 3, standing on right foot, left foot goes back. Right hand slides to the middle. And as left hand slides up, we're in half moon. Tighten the grip, leave the arms locked straight. As your foot drops down next to the other, continue to let the shoulder rotate in itself all the way down and around. Good. And unwind the shoulder, bend the knees, let's rise all the way up to stand. Okay. From this back part of the fabric, grab it, free it out a little bit. What we're going to do is take the right leg all the way inside the fabric. The leg is going to be long. And it's covering all the way from the foot up to the glute. So yeah, if you don't have it all the way to glute, go ahead and shove the leg a little bit further down. Good catch, bring your weight back underneath. You got it, and you're standing up. Good. See, best thing about fabric, grab on, you got that safety. Okay, first things first, take the hands together, dive them forward, and then push the elbow outward into each side. The elbows can be bent at this point. What that does is help to lift the leg, and so that gives us a deep hamstring stretch, and leaning forward makes it even deeper. Okay, start to rise back up. We're taking a little twist, so leave your left hand inside the fabric. Right arm reaches up to the sky and then opens up into that nice twist. Notice how suddenly you've opened up your field of vision to everything in the space behind you. So now return that arm up and forward. And what we're going to do is swivel our body, open the backwards of the room, so that's to that left long edge of the mat. We're going to keep the left hand bunched up on the fabric at the heart on this end that's closer to us. Right hand slides up, that same farther strand. Okay, so we got one hand at the heart, one hand at the side. From here, start to bend at the waist, leaning forward. You let some of the fabric slide through the hands. I like to pause at this halfway leaning forward spot. Sometimes here is where I'll stay. Sometimes I'll drop the left hand down to the ground. If that's still pretty easy and I want more, I can then hop the left hand to the inside of the foot about a foot. So it helps you lean even further. So you're leaning more and more to the mirror side. The legs lean, the hand leans. It's more like an inner thigh stretch. Beautiful. If you lean forward and I'll come back, grip both hands back on. So bend the knee for a moment. Give your knee a little spring to rise up from. Start to face forward. And this one, you'll want to make sure the glutes all the way covered. So once you've covered all the way to the glute, then the leg that's in the fabric, bend it out to the side. The knee goes wide, the foot comes past midline, and then dive both arms through the center. You get your shoulders all the way past, and then when you bring your hands in prayer position, you're locked here. There's no way of falling out. So take a moment to lift up the back foot, setting the foot and the toes as far back as they can reach. And then as you rock forward on the toes just a little bit, it helps to stretch the ball of the foot. So sometimes here is the best spot to stay if you've got a lot of that plantar fasciitis stuff going on. Sometimes I go to a quad stretch. I take my left hand, that left knee, and slide up until it's at the ankle. Sometimes I can even take my second hand around and grab the big toe. This depends on your reach. No pressure if you can't. It could also be an arm thing. And if you don't feel the quad stretch, point the knee down and backwards even just a little bit. Nice opening for that quad. And lastly here, we're going to take a nice little lotus pose. So this left foot, drop it down again and pick it up from in front. Set it up onto the other calf. If you're just holding on, that's okay too. Sometimes the knee and the hip, that's all it will do, just kind of holding on from low. That's great. If it can go high, that's fine. Maybe hands at heart if the balance is here. Sometimes the friction will make this foot fall off, so gripping can be fine the whole time. There's no pressure. But eventually let this be a nice meditative place. So maybe at first take a moment to take a little vantage point view all the way across the room. And then perhaps try to close the eyes and see if you can maintain any of the details of that picture. Memory is interesting because sometimes you remember things not exactly as how they were. It's almost like a little test. How much of the picture can I keep in that snapshot format? Let's enjoy another good inhale. Nice relaxed exhale. Send this foot back to the ground, that long position behind us. And then this is a nice pigeon pose as we just lean forward. If you stay here, this is the easier variation. If you want it to go deeper, take the fabric and start to slide it off the glute or maybe off the thigh. You choose how deep it goes and relaxing the hips down into it. Beautiful. And then as we're preparing to come up to stand, hop the foot underneath your body. Stand directly up. Start to grip on as you take the elbows behind. The leg can go straight and try to take this foot out in such a way that it's already pretty open for the second foot to just step directly in. Nice and long, covering up the full feet. You can always hop forward if you feel like the fabric's pulling you in a weird way. Hop forward, hop back, whatever makes you that even space. You can see in the fabric, if the middle of the fabric is down, then it's pretty easy to stand. If you can see, if I hop back, it pulls back. So that's when you're struggling against the fabric the whole time. So once we're pretty easy here, dive the hands onto the inside, bend the elbows, push each elbow outward. This lifts up the leg, gives us that exposure into the hamstring. So as I'm doing this, my gaze right now is right at the knee. So perhaps take in some details of the knee or of the fabric. Just notice textures and notice what draws your eye. 2 more good breaths here. And then as we free our way out, you take the twist. This time, leave the right arm inside, reach the left arm up to the sky, and then all the way back behind you. This is our visual field having opened up. And let this arm return all the way forward. We're going to start turning our body toward the front door, or in other words, toward that right long edge of the mat. You've got right hand at the heart, left hand slides up a lot higher. Once we've got the 2 grips, we start to bend at the waist, sliding fabric through the hands to choose our spot. We have control however far down we go. If this is pretty easy, maybe right hand to the floor. Maybe continue to lean toward the mirrors, hopping the hands in. And bring your weight back over that standing leg. Hand grips on. Maybe the standing knee does a little bend to give us a spring and pop back up to stand. Okay, we face forward. Make sure you're covered up all the way to glute. And then the knee bends. The knee out to the side, toes cross past midline. Dive both arms all the way through past the shoulders. And then pick up the back toes, extend the leg pretty long, and rock forward on the toes so you're stretching through the foot. You're welcome to stay here or take the quad stretch. Right hand at the knee and then slide up to the ankle. Maybe second hand can join as well. Maybe not, that's okay. Not have to. Make sure you do feel the quad stretch. So that might mean the knee needs to get pulled back just a little bit. Good, and as we release from this, we can take the lotus, the foot comes in front. Hook it up to the calf if that's what's best for the knee. You can always keep it lower. Hands can come to the heart. And take a moment to take in details of the room. Notice what you can see, what you can remember. And then with closing the eyes, see if you can keep that snapshot. It's like we found our spot in the room. We had to kind of navigate this room with our astral body, like they say with the astral projection. You could already kind of see the room. It's already in your mind's eye. Just enjoying another good inhale. And then exhale, the leg drops back down, sitting long behind you. It's the last one, that beautiful pigeon pose. You can keep the fabric where it is, or maybe start to free it from the glute, or free it all the way down the thigh. Choose your depth. Okay, hop the foot underneath your body weight. You stand up, your arms are still here, so you're still safe for a moment. When you grip on, you can bring the elbows behind, straighten the leg out, and free the foot all the way out. Beautiful. Let's take one more shoulder stretch before we wrap all the way up into Shavasana. So come to the other end of your fabric, or the mirror side, face your fabric. And then wave it left and right for a moment. It's already getting set up like we're going to head inside. But instead of heading inside, face to the mirrors. Face forward, take your elbows inside. And then you're bringing the elbows at least to 90 degrees. Some people will go even higher. Choose that spot. You're walking really far forward. And then take a little lunge. 1 foot steps forward, 1 foot steps back. And feel how you can play with this in different ways. If you sink your weight downward, that stretches the shoulders in one way. If you bend forward, kind of pushing against it, that stretches the shoulders in a different way. So find just a really nice shoulder opener to wrap ourselves up with. Head can be doing anything that's helping out this process. 2 more breaths. And then we'll start to step our feet together. Slide the elbows in for a moment. Let the head roll around, nice and loose. And when you're ready for the second foot to step forward, take that same lunge again. Playing with one more chance to get into this spot of the body today. Beautiful inhale. Relaxing exhale. And when we step our feet together, slide your hands down, switch the grip so thumbs are on the inside, fingers are on the outside. We're still plenty far forward so we don't grip too much, but we take about that 5 grips to bring us back to the center of the fabric. Once we've got 5 back up under plumb line, rise up to tippy toes, slide it under glutes as we come into Shavasana. You can send the legs in, and then lean backwards. Head is inside. So now after having focused so much on having our eyes open the whole class, during our Shavasana here, let's allow the eyes to close. And we're trying to tune into deeper senses. We use our eyes so much in our life, and this is good, especially when we're focusing in ways that we haven't every other day of our life, like we did in class today. But for this Shavasana, let's try to tune into any other sense that we have. So what is the skin, that sense of touch telling us? And what are we receiving from maybe our nose? Our ears. Maybe we take some time during Shavasana to play with the farthest possible sound that we can hear. Or maybe the opposite, we try to get progressively closer and closer sounds. Maybe listening to our breath or our heartbeat. Those have been going for us all class, but maybe we haven't heard them at all. We're really tuning into some of these deeper senses. We've got several more minutes here just to be with this deeper type of awareness. So let yourself breathe and be. Very good. Inhales and exhales. Introducing movements to fingers and toes, ankles and wrists. We're starting to stretch out like we're waking up first thing in the morning. Maybe wiggling shoulders left and right a few times. Sometimes it's fun to take fetal position to one side. You keep the legs long, but you rock over onto one of your hips. You're all the way on the side body. Then from here, you allow yourself to curl in like a tight little ball, and then arc the spine as far back as it's able to reach. I'll usually do this maybe 3 or 4 times on one side, then switch around to the second side to make sure my body is in balance. I'm doing this until you're in balance, and then you're welcome to gently rise up to a seated place when you finish. I rise up, I like to give the fabric a huge hug of gratitude as I join my hands together in front of the heart. From here, with the hands joined together, that's almost like these 2 visual fields that we have, like with the eyes, the left and the right eyes working together. It's like they're joining together. So we have this unity of our perception to allow our brain to suddenly have something new, that depth perception that wasn't available before. And so with all these analogies that we've been working with our visual field, with perception to lead us onward to a marvelous rest of our day and next several days, let's wrap up the wonderful time we got to share together today with a sound of Om. Taking a deep inhale together now. We be filled with light and happiness and peace. Namaste.